go.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone for a new episode. Our today's guest is Tony Musskopf, and he will talk to us today about what conscientiology text means and about the reason why it is different. Because well, I think that when we first opened a book or read the conscientiology text, we were all a little surprised by the style it has had, and beyond the neologism used, it is a completely different type of writing. First of all, thank you, Tony, for being here. We are very, very happy to have you here, and we are very curious to to find out things about conscientiology writing. And well, Tony Musskopf has a master's degrees in peace and conflict studies from the University of Queensland and graduated in psychology from the State University of Rio de Janeiro. Uh, he has been a volunteer in conscientiology since 1989, published the book Consciential Authenticity, and has written numerous papers and verbs on conscientiology. Currently, Tony's volunteers for the international project BiblioAfrica and conducts research as a member of the Invisible College of Serenology. Living in Australia, he works in violence prevention programs and research on the theory of Homo sapiens serenissimus. You are again very welcome. We are listening to you.
Thank you very much, Adina. Thank you guys for having me here. It's a pleasure to be in this international meeting to talk about a very important topic in conscientiology, which is how to turn these ideas, how to turn our intermissive course into something material, something concrete, something that you can touch, something that you can turn this into a time capsule, which is the book, which is writing conscientiology. So it is a pleasure to talk about these things. I can talk from my own experiencing as an author, but also I have some experience as an editor-in-chief, where when I work for Editaris as a volunteer for 1 year, so I had the chance to help a lot of authors to publish their books. And over my journey across conscientiology, as you said, I've been in contact with these ideas a long time. So I'm coming from the Jurassic era of conscientiology. So because of that, I would like to start talking about the principle of this belief. So because I am a Jurassic personality in conscientiology, please take my words in a very careful approach. Don't take it like a true or a solid opinion about that. So please use your own judgments, and please do not believe in what I'm saying here. I just would like to share my ideas, my experiences, and I think we can turn this into a conversation about books, about how to write conscientiology, how to project our ideas on a piece of paper, on a laptop, and spread this everywhere. It spread is internationally, and it spread is not only in terms of geography, but also time. I think it's important when you talk about books, we're talking about time. We talk about long-term things, okay? So, yeah, so the idea here is us to give some practical advice for conscientiology writers. So that's the main topic that I'd like to share with you. I was just wondering here, because you have a small audience, please feel free to raise your hand, make questions. If Adina could help me reading the chat, if you want to type any questions or comment in the chat, I am happy to stop my thinking, and then we address and answer or clarify any eventual questions you have, okay? Before we start, I am curious to know about you guys. Dina did an introduction about myself, but I am curious to know about you in terms of writing conscientiology. So I know that we have two authors here, I think. Sorry if I'm missing somebody. Liliana is a co-author of a dictionary, right? Liliana, yeah. I know that Kim is
A
also
glossary and the thesaurus now that we are organizing. The
yes,
thesaurus of conscientiology, right? That's
yeah,
over
yeah,
3,000. Yeah.
yes.
As Adina is as well, right? She
Adina
participated in
as
that
well,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
And
here in
Regina,
Australia.
right? In the German part.
Okay,
Because that has the neologisms in 7 languages, right? The
that's great.
thesaurus.
That's great. So, and we also have Kim that publish books as well. But I think we have a lot of people here that also publish papers. I am correct? Have you guys had the experience to publish entries for the encyclopedia or even papers as well? Okay, I see a lot of people doing that. So yeah, that's a good feedback. So we are in the right place. You are in the right place. So
Yeah.
let's talk
And I'm
about that.
writing my book as well. So I'm
Awesome,
writing first
awesome.
book
That's great.
in the
That's great.
middle of
So
the first book.
yeah, so the point here is we have different modalities, different ways of thinking in terms of writing conscientiology. When you talk writing, it's not necessarily book. I'm going to talk basically here about your project, your own book, okay? You as an author, an independent individual author. But it is important to say that this is very specific. We don't need to stick into this point. We gotta have more flexibility, understand a different spectrum of how to publish conscientiology, okay? But, well, let's go. So the principle of disbelief is something that you always start talking in any presentation. So don't believe in my views, my opinions. Please be very careful in analyzing everything I'm sharing here, okay? Because we are scientists, we are doing science. And the paradigm we are using to do that, it's a completely different paradigm. We were using different methods. And as a consequence, we also write the outcomes of this scientific research in a different way as well, okay? So the whole steps from the very first moment you decide to pick a topic and start researching it, since or till the point you publish it, since the point you shared your ideas to a community. Okay, so I'm going to present here around 20 very practical or reflections about writing, okay? So the number one is the principle of disbelief. The number two is writing about conscientiology is a byproduct of self-research. Okay? So when you write conscientiology, you actually is translating your self-research into something else, into a book or into a paper or into a encyclopedia entry or whatever, okay? A workbook, a blog, it can be a podcast, it can be, anyway. If you don't have self-research, it will be very difficult you extract a self-research into something, into ideas. It will be very theoretical, very philosophical. Okay, so let's think about that. Writing conscientiology is a byproduct of self-research. So you can ask yourself about what is the main current topic of your self-research right here, right now. What you have researched in yourself. Conscientiology is the science that studies the consciousness. We are consciousness, so we study ourselves. We have issues, things to address, things to evolve, things to mature, things to improve. So these are, or these can be, topics that we are writing about. So in other words, when you publish a book like mine about a specific subject, even if you are not talking about yourself directly, you are talking about yourself between the lines. It is impossible in conscientiology, an author write conscientiology without putting your own personality, evolutionary context into the text. Okay, so let's think about the connection between self-research and writing. Kim, you go.
Yeah, this is a really interesting point, Tony, and it's something I think thinking about at times, because I do. For example, I've written a paper on rainmaking in Aboriginal culture from the consciential paradigm, right? So in a way, it's more like, I guess, academic writing, in that I haven't tried to make rain. I haven't. I mean, I've been present at a rainmaking ceremony, so I do refer to that, right? So I draw a bit on that, but this is it's an interesting thing, and I notice in myself when I'm writing, like a tension. There's this tension between, I think maybe because of the consciential paradigm, I sometimes feel unsatisfied if I'm just writing about external things. But on the other hand, I do feel that also has value from looking at certain phenomena, like if we look at migration, or we look at colonialism, or we look at different things through a multidimensional lens, that is also conscientiological writing, but not necessarily self-research. I was curious of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing when you said that you are not happy, or it's something that it's missing when you do like a more academic approach. But I think even though when you are writing something like that, to pick a topic like that, we can do the inversion thinking. Okay, you can see what aboriginality is related to your micro universe. You know what I mean? And this is a very important self-research topic, because you work with these things for, I don't know, decades or a lot of years, you know? So when we start writing an academic or in an academic approach, this can give you insights about a lot of things in terms of your past, in terms of colonialism, in terms of your past personalities, who was who in this like colonialism stuff, the migration to Australia, the urbanization that it's linked to this thing. So what kind of connections you can have with these topics, you know? So even if you're writing something like that, I remember when I was doing my master's degree and writing my assignments, it's pretty academical. But this was a good opportunity to do self-research. And I also wrote a lot of things that I'm using in my texts and my conscientiological books and projects now. Okay, so everything you do in terms of writing, you can use this as a other byproduct for further research. Nothing goes to the rubbish bin. Everything you can use and recycle and using in further things, okay? And there is another point, it's a context you are, because writing conscientiology is something that you don't do in an isolated space. It's everything is connected to your moment, the momentum, your proaxis, the assistential, let's say, agenda that you are having at this moment. So it's all connected. And if you write it, even if you are not turn this into a book, but you have your notes, you have your files in your computer, this is a very valuable material for your self-research. Okay, so yeah, keep these things in mind. All right. All right, so can you continue? Oh, good, Kim. All right. So number 3, choose a priority topic for your self-evolution. You see, I talk about the momentum, which is the timing when you are writing. So if you can translate your momentum into something that it's very important for you, for your self-research, perhaps you can find a valuable topic for you to start writing about. And this is not necessarily something that you want to change in the future. This is a snapshot. You do this at this point, but you can change it. You can see different perspectives. You can evolve, change, improve, increase, see in a different angle. But it is important you have a topic. It is important you identify yourself as a researcher of a specific area or a specialty or some specific field, that it is important for you. It's meaningful for you. Okay? It's a source of self-motivation. So writing is about you. It's about your consciousness. It's about your contribution to this science. So it's your inner identity. So pick something that it's meaningful for you, that you feel happy in doing, happy in developing, that is part of your identity. So choose a priority topic for your self-evolution. So you can ask yourself, will this subject or will this topic create any positive impact in my evolution? It's something that it's critical. It's something that it's meaningful for me for this moment. It's going to help me and the group. It's a bit a paradox because it can look like something egocentric, but it's not, because you are doing something for yourself, but this will have implications and consequences to your group and to the readers as well in the future. Okay? All right, so number 4, respect your evolutionary momentum. So this is about self-respect. Writing requires self-respect. Respect your momentum. Don't put too much pressure on your shoulders when it comes to writing, because you can turn this into something negative. And that's not the case. Writing must be something, it's a pleasure. It's a source of happiness. It's a moment that you are having contacts with your helpers and not being a self-intruder, putting yourself against a corner to do something that you feel discomfortable. It must be a source of pleasure. You're happy to live your leisure, your funny time, or something that you like to do aside for a while because you have something that brings you a lot of motivation and energy to do, which is writing, especially if you're writing for something about that you really like or something meaningful for you. But if you feel that that's not the momentum you are, if you feel that it's artificial, it's something that it's being forced against your own will, perhaps that's not the right moment to start. Perhaps it's time for you to do other tasks or other volunteering activities. But it is important you see that there is a momentum for writing. And if you are in this momentum, okay, go ahead. Go to the next advice, which is the number 5, which is build your intellectual environment at home. Build your intellectual environment at home. Unfortunately, I cannot move my laptop, but I would love to share where I am here. I am in my office. There are a lot of things here. I'd like to show my equipment and stuff. And I feel very happy in being here. This is my, let's say, refuge. This is the place I feel very, this is, the man's cave.
So it's your intellectual man cave.
This is my intellectual or mental somatic cave. Okay, so just for you to have an idea, I am studying serenology, which is my topic or the specialty, the big topic I choose. And I have these things here, like a serenity, where I put my pens, my stuff. So I have my equipment here. I have things that I printed. My computer, I have 2 screens. My mini bibliothèque here, my library with books. Anyway, it's full of things that it's a kind of lab. I am in my lab. I build my own lab. And by the way, the desk I have here, the table, I built myself with my own carpentry skills. So there are energies here, and this is my intellectual cave. So if you do that, and if you put your motivation, your energy there, this is going to make very organic, not artificial. Okay? So it's a kind of nest. You build little by little. And when you have an achievement, when you publish something, when you start seeing the results, this is something that provides us with a kind of feedback. Okay? So a simple question for you. It's not an assessment, but you can ask yourself, do you have paper and pen in your bedroom? So a conscientiology writer, they usually have pen and paper in and just grab, it's handy because we have, out of the body experiences, projections every time, or penta or whatever. You gotta find something, and this must be very quick everywhere you are. It's here, okay? The ideas start popping up in your brain, and if you simply neglect them, if you don't write them, imagine from the helper's point of view. The helper is giving you putting a lot of energy in Tony's brain for him to have some insights, and he simply doesn't care. He simply is not paying attention on it. He's neglecting, he's avoiding, he's like putting aside very important ideas. So if you were my helpers, how would you feel about that? How would you feel about the next day when the helper is like trying to say another message and say, this guy, he doesn't care about myself. I won't waste my time with this guy. I'm going to talk to Kim. I'm going to talk to Kim because Kim sounds to be more like open and ready and take these things seriously. So think about from the helper's point of view. If you have paper and pen everywhere, if you are ready to go anytime, write down ideas that you are getting from the co-authors, which means the extraphysical, writers. They are our colleagues. This makes sense in my mind. I don't know if it's something that makes sense in your mind. Okay, so let's think about that. So if you have an intellectual environment at your house, in your home, or if you take this everywhere you are, you will have higher chances to get more insights, more ideas about your self-research, and as a result, more writing in terms of conscientiology. Okay? Make sense? All good? Okay, so number 6, respect your intellectual rhythm. Respect your momentum in other ways, or respect your biological clock in other ways. It's another way to say the same thing. For example, that's a very simple one. We don't want to spend too much time with this one. It's a simple one. The question is, what time of the day do you think better? Do you write better? Do you study better? Or what time of the day your brain is more aware? So if you can match this time with your intellectual activity, perfect. Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes you are doing your work or surviving in this intraphysical dimension. You are making money, doing our job, But if you can find a way to organize your life in the long term to be all right in time that your brain is working better, perfect. My case, my brain starts working better from 11 p.m., 12, 1 a.m., which is very hard because I work full time and I arrive home very tired. I do my exercise, I have my routine, my dinner, and sometimes I have no energy. But if I start doing some intellectual activity at night, it will be very difficult for me to go back to my bed and sleep because I am very aware. My brain works a lot and it's very silent. The magpies, the crowds, the birds here in Australia are very noisy. So at this time, everybody is sleeping. The birds are quiet. There is no traffic. There is no interruptions. It's perfect. And it seems in my case that the helpers, I can listen to them much in a clear way at this time of the day or night in the case, My clarity audience works better at this time. My telepathy, my parapsychism. So it's not only about the brain, it's about your holosoma. So this is also self-research. So it is important you recognize what time of the day your parapsychism is working better. Because writing conscientiology is parapsychism. It's pure parapsychism. It's something that you do when you are in a state, or it's not a full projection, but your consciential attributes are working in a high pace. It is important you have this parapsychism, like all channels open, because this is going to work much, much better. All right? Number 7, sustain your writing routine. So this is one of the most difficult points when it comes to sustaining what you started or have already started. So my advice here is, if you are in a bad day, if you are tired, if you arrive home after a very difficult conversation with your boss or clients, if you are full of intruders in your psychosphere, and you have no motivation to open your laptop and write, what if you, instead of writing, what if you try to read? Okay, Tony, but I cannot read because I'm still, as I said, full of intruders. Okay, but what else? Instead of reading, perhaps listen to a tertulia or an audiobook, or at least watch one of the movies that is in your list of tasks that are related to your book. Okay, so you don't need to write every single day, but it is important you to keep doing something related to your book. Think about that. Do not stop. At least one activity a day related to your book, it is important you complete to tick. Because if you keep accumulating pauses over a long period of time, you lost your track. You go to another way, or you simply stopped the production. So if you cannot read, if you cannot read, listen, do something about that. If you cannot write a chapter, which is, or some paragraphs, or develop a chapter, do some kind of free writing. Write something about yourself or something that happened about your day, but grab a pen or open your computer or do something in terms of intellectuality. Show your helpers that you are trying your best, even if you are not achieving what you are expecting. Okay? Kim, you go again, please.
Yep. So this is assuming that we're working on a book, right? You just said if you're working on a book, like, would you, because you didn't, what is your writing routine, or what would you say is kind of a minimum writing routine to say that we are writing? Like, is it 30 minutes a day, 2 hours a day, every day? Do you have 5 days a week? You know, those sort of things. And going back a bit, I'm also curious how you sustain your 11 to 1 o'clock writing blocks in your life. Do you have siesta time?
I can, let's put this way. You can organize this in levels. You have the first class, you have the business class, and you have the economic class. Okay? So for example, because I work, my job is pretty crazy. I work with like a domestic violence, tricky clients, tricky like situations in my job, and sometimes I am very overwhelmed with these whole situations, and my energy has a limit, and I have no energy to do like 1, 2, 2.5 hours a day or at night, which is the first class standard, because of the momentum. Remember I said the momentum? So if you are not in the momentum, respect yourself, respect the momentum. So my first class is 2.5 hours a day writing. But this is myself. Please don't compare my reality with you, okay? Myself. I have periods of my year that I can sustain this business, this first class production every single night. Okay, and I'm looking forward for my holidays now, because I'm going to produce much more, because I will have like full time. I won't work for 2 weeks and a half. So this will be awesome. And I'm going to do much more than 2.5 hours, perhaps 8, 10 hours or more, 12 hours a day. Okay. Which is like my private jet. Is not even a first class. Business class. Business class. Okay. Business class is something important, Kim. And I use this. Okay. This is a very interesting thing. I have here in my phone, you probably have two notes, okay? And I have one
No, I
here.
was going to ask you about that as well.
Yeah. So, and this is something I can tell you. Every single day I have an idea and I write it. And I turn this into orthopensata. I don't know how to translate this in English. Sorry about that. But it's
Orthotocene.
orthotocene. Thank you. So it's
We keep it at
Ascend-
orthopensata.
Ah, do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Pensata is different.
Oh,
from
yeah, I
pensata.
made a mistake.
All right. So
Okay,
this is a sentence or a paragraph. Okay. I finish a very crazy meeting with my manager, full of sparks and problems. And okay, I go to the toilet, wash my hands, because this is my technique I do to detach the energy. Look at my image at the mirror, think about what happened, and then I start reflecting about what happened, and boom, I have an idea, and then I write it. That's it. So I don't need to be in my intellectual cave to do that. I have this everywhere. And I collect this, and this goes to my cloud and goes straight to my file. And then by doing a simple edit find, I can find ideas and use these ideas to build a chapter. Simple like that. Because every time I write my sentence, I put a keyword at the beginning, and I use this as a way to, collection. Writing is about collection, Kim. So you collect things. So if you like collect things, you are very like organized. You classify, you put in order. So that's it's about. And look, the helpers, the synchronicities. Sorry,
Synchronicities.
the synchronicities, the helpers, the parafacts, the phenomena, the groupokarmic reconciliation, everything is going to start working around your production. And you are going to start extracting this. So when you talk about aboriginality, your academic, it's all connected, it's all linked. And then you start extracting these things to your book or to your books or to your projects. That's my technique. So this is the business class. But the economic class is king. When I arrive home, like a zombie with no energy for doing nothing and just lay down in my sofa, play Netflix, but I don't watch any movie. I have a list. When I am in my business class, I have already pre-select some tasks I gotta do, YouTube videos, Netflix or stuff. So I'm not producing things, I'm just absorbing things, which is not reading, which is just watching, which requires a low level of, intellectuality. We're just observing and reflecting, and you are going to use this later. Okay? So that's it. You do what you can. I'm not a self free intruded personality yet. We have intrusion. So I'm using this kind of things to balance my immaturities and my ups and downs. Okay, Adina?
But still, did you have moments when you realize that what you had written one day before, one night before, was in a way influenced in a not in the most benefic way by the energies, by the of yeah, after yeah, you said that you worked a lot, of course, and you are in touch with a lot of energies. Do you always manage to get rid of these energies and not let your writings be influenced by the energies that you meet during the day?
Yeah, yeah. Look, I can say in my case that if I open my files of my books and start working with them, I can affirm with 100% of certainty that there is no intrusion in this moment. No, zero, absolutely nothing. So I know how to be a desperto or a intrusion-free personality. It's just do that. But I am also learning how to be the intrusion person, you know? And sometimes the intruders are like friends and let's hang out because we like it, because they are our friends, you know? But I can tell you, Adina, the best technique for me to keep myself closer to my authentic consciousness, which is the Tony conscience, the astrophysical consciousness that is speaking to you now, it's when I am writing. No intrusion, absolutely nothing. This I can tell you, yeah. And this is like a standard thing. This is my reality. Perhaps other people have another kind of parameter or guide or measurement for that. Mine is writing because it's part of my identity. It's like a long time. I've been done this for a long time. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead. Write because you want, not because you have to. We repeat, write because you want. Self. When you say, I have to write, it sounds like an external thing. It changed the whole thing. It looks like pretty similar, but it's not. So write because you want, not because you have to. You don't have to write. You want to write. It's a pleasure, not an obligation. Do not be under pressure because of deadlines or because people are telling you, Tony told me that I need to write, so I have to write. Bullshit. Do because you want. And if you don't want, don't do it. Please, don't do something that you... Conscientiology is not a self-punishment. It's not religion. Yeah. Why do you want to be an author? So answer yourself, reflect and answer yourself. Why do you want to be an author? This is going to give you some idea about the want, the willingness, and the self-decision of writing. Okay? Number 9, the facts and parafacts guide your research. So this is a very classical thing. This is Vieira's, statement. The facts and parafacts guide your research. So what this means in practical terms? This means do not fall in love with your topic. That's not a romance. That's not like a novel. That's not a Latin America drama. Do not fall in love with your subject. If you see that the facts and parafacts are guiding you to a different direction, forget the whole bullshit you have written so far and change it. Change your arguments. Okay? Do not defend your arguments in a blind way. Be guided by the facts and parafacts. I see a lot of people when I was working as a publisher in editaries, authors defending some points, and they are blind because it's like about the ego. It's about, the image. It's about I am right. How can you say that I'm wrong? I am right. So there is no rationality. It's all about emotionality. So let's be very flexible because you have the right to change our own opinion. So if you see that you are having new ideas, do not twist the old ideas to fit into old assumptions. Change it all. Okay. I also would like the idea of the trail signs. Do you know the trail signs? Have you, I don't know if you like doing trekking or hiking, and you go into the forest and you see those little marks they put on trees or they put on rocks to show you if you are in the right trail or not. Okay, if you stop seeing these signs, it means that you are lost, basically. Okay? So this is exactly what I'm trying to tell you, the facts and parafacts. If you are writing, or it means if you are doing your hiking, and if you stop seeing these marks, these synchronicities, the contacts with your helpers, it means that, mate, you are lost. You gotta go back and see what's happened. So it is important you have some signs that show you that you are, okay, I am the right track. And this is very particular. This is about you and your helper. Your helper, you show you. Okay? So number 10, collect, analyze, and write your self-experiments. Do not throw ideas away by forgetting to take note of them. I have already mentioned that, okay? Do not waste experiments, synchronicities, insight, details, and experiences. So if you are doing your hiking and you see something interesting in the middle of the forest, collect it, take photos, take notes, measure, put this in your book, because it's something relevant. Even if you don't know what to do with this, if you don't know where to put, how to connect this with a chapter or idea, it's something that is there. And it's something that somebody is showing you this, or you found out this, and you're going to use this eventually, okay? Sometimes even you can use this in your book or perhaps in another book in the future, other project, but do not throw diamonds, synchronicities, ideas, insights away, because this is disrespectful. You are being very unpolite with your helper when you are doing a thing like that. All right, so Leandro, you want to share some ideas?
Yeah. No, interesting, because I have my personal code of writing. There are series of items that I follow about my writing to maintain a logical writing a coherent writing about my self-research, the facts and parafacts. So I'm writing all the day, not all the day, but I'm not writing about everything, but I'm focused. What about it I am writing? And this let me be more coherent with myself in my writing. So how we say in Português, eu não fico enchendo linguiça toda hora. Ou eu evito isso.
Yeah.
So how do we translate this in English?
I don't know.
Linguiça.
Yeah,
So you're not doing something just because you're doing it. You're focused. You're focused and coherent with what you want to write. It's not just writing for writing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and I'm refining my writing to take it my best.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know what, you when you are talking about your code, I can talk about myself. I stopped a long time ago of comparing myself with Vieira's performance. I'm not doing this anymore. Vieira's Professor Valdo, he used to say that my style of writing is pretty similar to his style of writing because we share not share, but we have connections with a helper which use this style of not writing but thinking. He's part of my group as well. I am part of his group, which is the enumerador.
Oh.
Okay, but this, in one hand, this puts a lot of pressure on my shoulders, and I stop comparing myself because I'm not like, in terms of financial, profession, in terms of energy, parapsychism, my age, my situation, I cannot compare. I am a completely different personality. Okay, so why I'm going to blame myself or feel guilty because I'm not writing one encyclopedia entry a day like him? It's no way. Tony, slow down. That's not the moment. Perhaps in the future, or perhaps next life. I don't know. But this feeling is toxic. This is not health. And this won't help me in being a better writer at all. So let's stop doing this. Okay? But on the other hand, I cannot use self-corruption.
Yeah.
I cannot enter into excuse for not doing. So there is a very thin window of behavior, cosmetic behavior you gotta go through between not putting negative toxicity or pressure on your shoulders, but also do not enter into a self-corruption. And you gotta feel very serene. Serenity is important. Very comfortable in this corridor, in this thin layer of production. And that's it. And that's your momentum of your life,
Yeah. You, Professor Valdo, you, other colleagues are examples, great examples, but we must to maintain or to focus in our originality.
Yeah.
But with sincerity, self-sincerity, honestly, honest.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries. All right, so collect, analyze, and write your self-experiments. So we talk about that as well. So have your own files, your own ways to organize your folders, place. You gotta have a technology, a infrastructure, and you gotta know where to put your ideas. If you don't know what to do with your ideas, something's wrong with your self-organization. This is related to your intellectual cave or intellectual home or environment or your office. It's something wrong about your routines. It's something wrong about your infrastructure. So organize yourself to know what to do with the ideas. Open files, open folders, physical folders. Even it's important. I am very visual, so I have here my dashboard. When I sit in my desk, it's a kind of cockpit. It's like a aircraft, full of things. I know what to do. For example, I have this. This is a list of the main bibliography I'm using. Okay, so I don't waste time finding things. It's all here. It's all done. I have all steps here in my computer on how to do the backups to make sure that I won't miss any day of work because of technological issues, bugs, internet stuff, or simply lack of attention to save your job, So it's all organized. It is important you have this infrastructure as well. Approach your topic from multiple lenses. This is another this is one of my favorites. It's number 11. Approach your topic from multiple lenses. Find logical connections for your topic. Be interdisciplinary. Think about your topic everywhere, every time. So my wife invited me to climb a mountain here, 1 hour from our place. And she told me, let's see the sunrise. And okay, so I did the calculations. It took us 1 hour to get there, plus another 1 hour to climb it. It's not like a very risky thing. It's a simple one. But you'd like to see the sunrise there, which means we wake up very early in the morning, 3 a.m., to get there and get on top half an hour before the sunrise. Okay. This is absolutely nothing related to my book, if you see superficially, but you can make connections with that experience with your book. Okay? So I'm just giving a simple example. A holidays, a Sunday morning that you do something, but that experience, if you think about that, you can extract ideas about your book. You're not reading, you're not watching movies or writing or doing research or going to a lab, doing self-experiments. No, you're just having fun. 3 a.m.
Tony, I think that
Alex?
the when you are focused on writing a book, the thing becomes a bit like an internal compass, and
Yes.
so everything seems to converge in some way because the compass is there, the compass is working, the needle is, and yeah, sometimes you don't know immediately how this connects, but it's like you're always there. The compass is always there. So you will find a way, right? You will find, things will come to you kind of as well, right?
Yes, you are absolutely right. And because I was not only walking there, I was like thinking about my book and my research, because I researched the Serenissimus, I was thinking, okay, so, the Serenissimus is like a ranger. He's in a park. It's so silent. And here is like absolutely silent. Just the birds, just the insects, the frogs. The frogs are eating, are like hunting the insects. And the Serenissimus is a ranger here. There is a fight, a silent fight of survival happening in this park. The animals are killing each other, but I'm here enjoying the sunrise. So I am a kind of Serenissimus here. I am observing, respecting the nature. So perhaps the Serenissimus is a kind of ranger. He's looking after a huge ecosystem, and he's serene. He's not being emotional about the nature or about the violence of this nature. He's just observing, respecting, and understanding all things because he's watching all these things from another point of view. You see, so you are having an experience, but you are extracting content from it by approaching your topic from multiple lenses. So if your lenses is having a funny holiday or an outdoor activity, you approach your topic from that things. So if you do this with everything in your life, that's conscientiology, because consciousness is everywhere, regardless of, don't expect magical, pyrotechnical, Hollywoodic, or things, something simple, something like in a daily basis. 12, the author doesn't work alone. I talk a lot about the astrophysical helpers here. There is no text written by only 2 hands and 1 brain. Okay? And I'm not talking only about the astrophysical helpers. I'm talking about all people that work for you, with you as proofreaders, those that work with your cover, those that work with your reviewing the content, translating your book to another language. So it's a teamwork. So remember that you are not alone. We don't work alone, which leads us to the next one, the number 13. Foster your pen pal network. You know the pen pal, something old, né? Remember those friends you had overseas, or people that you used to write letters and send mail it. Now you have emails, you have WhatsApp and social media, but the pen pal, that friendship, it's much like meaningful, that something that you have in your social media nowadays. So it is important you have a mental somatic pen pal. Those guys that you have affinity, an empathetic connection. They will tell you the truth about your work. Tony, this is not right. You got to change it. It's like you are doing the wrong way, so change it. But this is perfect. I like that one. So it is important you have somebody to talk to exchange letters, chapters. If you are doing this alone, this is wrong. Don't do this alone. You gotta work together with other people, okay? An invisible college is that. You don't need to join invisible college to do that. You can have your own invisible, customized, tailored invisible college by fostering this friendship. It's an intellectual friendship. It's a different type of friendship. Okay, so connect with
it's funny
people.
because in past lives, when some of us were writers in past lives as well, the writers always felt, and still do, and I still feel this need of being together with other writers to
Yeah.
discuss their subjects, to discuss their books. And it's like it's a fellowship. It's being with the people that understand about what you're talking about and things like that. And we miss that, right? When I don't have that, I miss it. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. The exchange is very rich and can help you a lot. And if people don't do that exchange, something is missing. That's how I
Yeah.
feel it.
And no, I don't know. I'm very stupid in a lot of areas. I remember I was writing about biology and genetics and the connection with the Serenissimus, for example. And oh my gosh, I need a biologist. I need somebody that is expert in this area to give me a feedback. But it must be somebody that understands conscientiology. Okay, and I found it, and I start getting some help, and then this person helped me, and then I help this person as well. It's a inter-assistential support. Okay, so find your pen pals and foster this kind of fellowship, this friendship. But this is one point. Another point is different, which is debate your ideas before publishing them. Debate is a different thing. Okay, the pen pal is one. The debate is you throw your ideas in the arena. You throw to the lions. Okay, that's the idea. So you submit them to a very acid test, which is the debate, an open debate, which is very good. So you are going to see a lot of faults, things to change, things that are too much philosophical, you need to change because the demands, the questions they are raising are completely different from the things you're thinking yourself, reflection. So it's very important to have multiple views before you publish, because once you publish, it's published. You cannot change that. It's there. It's in a paper or a digital file, and it's there. And then this goes to the arena, and you cannot change it anymore. So it's smart to submit the arena before you print it or before you publish. Okay.
Why some right one step could be giving lectures or I don't know course or something about what you are writing about, right? And see how people respond to it and what questions.
And Liliana, this is exactly my next one. You are like following my thought.
I am very precognitive.
Yeah. I don't know if you're watching or if you are looking at the PowerPoint, but
No, I'm
that's
not.
my next one. Which is the number 15. First teaching, then publishing. Okay, so consider being or consider present your ideas in a workshop, a course, a lecture, or if you have, for example, now you have the first Australasian Pacific Conference of Paraurbanology and Serenology here in Australia. You can submit your paper, okay, and then you are going to teach us. Yeah, I can see that Leandro is showing there the advertisement. Yeah, so you can submit your papers or submit your ideas to the arena or even teach them as a teacher. So you are testing the clarification task effect or side effects of your ideas before publishing. All right? And look, if it's not working in a classroom, probably it won't work as a book. Okay, so let's think about that. Let's be very practical. And teaching is a good way for you to have ideas on how to translate this into chapters, into sentences, into sessions in your book. It is important to think about the educational process of writing. Okay, you are giving a class when you are writing. It's like a class. It's like a lecture. You are delivering a content, and it must be in a very appropriate manner. So if you teach these things, the chances for you to present the idea in a better way, it's better. It's like, you know, I'm not telling you that you gotta be teachers in conscientiology before being authors. No, I'm just telling you that there is a logic behind these levels. Some people do the opposite. Some people publish and then turn into like teachers, or just publish, or are just teachers. I don't care. Each one has your own proaxis, and each one is responsible for your own decisions. I'm just telling you that there is a logic behind that. Okay, just consider that and use the disbelief, the principle of disbelief, into my ideas. 16, create and improve your own style. So this is about authenticity. You don't need to follow others' styles. Create your own style. Okay. What are the main features of your writing style? What is the trademark, the signs, something that shows that's Regina's writing style. It's very typical of her way to present ideas. Okay, it's her fingerprint in terms of ideas. So each one has a specific style, and you can improve it, you can make it better, you can like develop it. You don't need to follow it. If you like a specific style of an author, you can follow it, but it is important you to improve and turn this something into your style. Find a template to materialize your ideas. So what is the shape, the framework is different from style. This is more around the type of book you are writing, okay? So ask yourself, what are you writing? It's a workbook, it's a manual, it's a diary, it's a biography, it's a self-biography, it's a dictionary, it's a pocketbook, it's a self-help book. It's what kind of thing you're writing. So think about that. Think about how you're going to deliver. Imagine like book is like a baby. It's going to be a girl, a boy, twins. What kind of creature is going to arise from this mental somatic work you are having?
I'm doing
Labor.
twins. I'm doing twins. That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah. Don't do a Frankenstein or teratological thing. Try to find the best format or not style. It's a template to deliver and to present these ideas, okay? And this leads us to comment. It's my opinion, okay? It's my personal opinion, and this is because my past. It's number 18. And it says, art is an automimetic old style. I will say again, art is an automimetic old style. Clarification task works better via scientific language. That's absolutely my opinion, and I respect others' opinion. But I will disrespect and say that is bullshit if you are trying to deliver clarification tasks by a religion's language and say, this is bullshit. And this doesn't deserve respect, in my opinion. Okay? My opinion. So, are you writing a drama, a novel, a science fiction book, or a scientific one? What kind of thing are you writing? I had problems with this when I was working with editaries, and I wrote, you have a political guideline in a publisher company, okay, an institution. And when I was in charge, I talk to Professor Valdo and say, hey, in my volunteering, you want to have artistic novels, dramas, books. Okay, that's my politics in terms of that, because of my past. I won't sign, I won't collaborate with that. I don't want this anymore. For me, it's a waste of time. Okay, because I'm not here to do arts, I'm here to do science. That's it. But anyway, that's my view. And I respect if you have a different one. In my case, it's automimetic. And I gotta be very aware of not doing the same thing, even if I try to write in a scientific way. Okay, and this is related to your style. This is related to your ego. It's related to very old trends. Okay, makes sense, people? This is my view. Okay, about that. All right, can you go ahead? We have 10 minutes to go, right? Okay, talking about time. Write as timelessly as possible. Keep the long term in mind when you write. So I can give you a question for you to reflect. The question is, will these ideas be relevant in 2,000 years from now? 2,000 years. I think it's too long.
That's being ambitious.
Yeah.
1,000 years from now. Wow.
And this is related to the another point, which is space. We have time and we have space, 2 dimensions. Write as universalistic as possible. So if you can write something that lasts longer, it's better. Okay, for example, this book, Autenticidade Consciencial, it's out of date. I need to do a lot of update because we have a lot of things about authenticity nowadays and lack of authenticity. And some examples here are pretty out of date. We need to review, and then there is a lot of work here, and I'm learn about that. So perhaps my next collections about facts will be more timeless in terms of authenticity. So the book can live longer, or can, be useful, or the clarification task rate or percentage will be higher if you write this in a timeless way, mindset. And universalistic as well. So write as universalistic as possible. So my point is, and my question is, will my ideas be understood by readers in Brazil, Japan, Australia, Romania, and Saudi Arabia? Or Germany? So if you give, for example, very specific examples, facts, and very specific particularities about your country, about your culture, sometimes this won't work in another country, or this doesn't make sense. It's very specific, But if you think globally, you can have a bigger impact. You go, Kim.
Yeah, I was just going to say that that is actually an issue with some of Valdo's texts, right? Because he uses very sort of Brazilian slang and cultural concepts and jokes and stuff that are impossible to translate, really.
Exactly.
And it's really noticing.
It's a nightmare to translate as well. It's a nightmare for the translators.
Yeah.
And anyway, but this is his style. It's author style. So, and this is a translator's problem. It's not the author's problem. But if perhaps, I don't know, my view, it's try to be more universalistic in terms of the examples, in terms of the arguments, not only to help the translators, but to keep your argument longer and wider in terms of penetration, in terms of capillarity, you know.
More useful for more people, right? More immediately useful
Yeah.
for different cultures, different mindsets.
But the problem is you got to understand the different mindsets and people and be a universalistic author as well. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to do that. Regina.
Well, I think when I was reflecting about what you were saying, I think it depends on what do you want to target, right? I think I was remembering that Valdo also uses some phrases that are really hard to translate to other languages, right? And but I think it's okay if you want to address your specific target group, right, with what you say or write. So in that sense, it could be appropriate to do something like that for sure. And I was thinking the more you come to the core of attributes of the consciousness, the more you will be able to write in a more universalistic way, because then consciousness, or the how can I say, if you peel off all the onion layers, right, the more you get to the universalistic relevant stuff to write about that. So I think yeah, in that sense I understand what you mean, but I was a little bit struggling about well, writing something that is still valid 2000 years from now. So I was wondering, okay, am I writing science then? If we are talking about leading edge relative truth, I hope in a way that yeah, we will make progress in these 2000 years, right?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I agree. I tend to make the things more exaggerated to create a higher impact when I give figures and numbers and things. But remember that you are not only writing to the readers, you are writing to yourself. And this is a very retrocognitive technique you can use for yourself. It's a book that you write to yourself. It's very egocentric in some way, and it's not scientific in terms of purpose. It's like something that you use for your memory, you know, your continued memory. But it depends.
Your first reader.
And I can, yeah, and I can, for example, if you are writing a biography or a personality in history, for example, you cannot be universalistic because we're talking about a specific person. So again, do not believe what I'm telling you here. Just give you big things to think, okay? What I'm learning is perhaps if I would write my book again, my first book, and I'm considering this to my following books, is some examples I'm giving, I try to pick some examples that are more universalistic and more timeless, instead of those that I know that will expire in a short period of time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, the book will have time of living. It won't live forever in terms of ideas, but you can make it live a little bit longer. We use some preservatives, you know, to keep it like longer. That's my point.
And then there's things. The first thing that one needs to find when we want to write a book is, what is my target audience or target audiences, and you have to write it according to that as first thing, right? And
yeah,
you know, the way you try to write it has to do. And then there are many different types of book. Although we're talking about science and we are talking about universalism and all that, there are in conscientiology many different types of books as well. For instance,
yeah.
I'm writing an autobiography, so it's less scientific, so to speak, and it's to a wider public. That's how I intend to and
Yeah.
it's the compared autobiography between me and an hypothesis of consecutive personality. So that's a very specific book in a very specific different language, so to speak. So if I write about my, I don't know, my fundamental clause or something that I really need to write about, that will be more accurate to the point, that will need to be more scientific in conscientiological terms. So there are many different types of books.
We have a message in the chat from Kim. Kim, do you wanna read it or say it?
Well, I mean, I didn't really. That's why I wrote it, because I thought we have to do 20, and the time's about up. But as I'm
Well,
talking,
I
you're
think I'm
reading.
going to reconsider my argument about time and space, because I think you destroy it. But that's the beauty of the debate, you know, and you gotta be flexible. Very good points. I will consider that. Okay, so do not write under pressure of deadlines. This is another thing about timing. Do not do that. Do not put a event or a deadline in front of your book. Do the opposite, the way around. So if you have any expectations to finish your book because certain deadline, this is going to create a lot of pressure. So do not connect one thing to another. Okay? Just another idea I learned from a lot of authors, that I want to publish my book in a certain specific conference, event, or Christmas, or whatever, on my birthday, my mom's birthday. I want to give her a gift, which is my okay, but and then that's not the multidimensionality works. So yeah. We are almost finished, okay? Sorry about the time, but if you allowed me to have just 3 more minutes, write as you are an intermissivist conscience. So that's idea is try to put your own astrophysical course, intermissive course content into that, instead of just think in terms of materialistic or you know, your ego. So think about it, right, like you were a conscience, because this is going to help you with connecting with your helper as well. Okay. And the 23, and we have 24, which is the last one. 23, the evolutionologist, sorry, the evolutionologist is your editor-in-chief. Remember, you are only accountable to your evolutionologist, no one else. So this is about independency. This is about freedom of speech. This is about liberty. This is about how flexible and independent are you to express your ideas. Okay, remember, you, author, is the sovereign of your book. You have the final cut, the final decision, the final word. It's your book. It's your name that's in that book. Remember that. And you are only accountable to your evolutionologist. By the way, there is an important tip for you guys. Do not donate your the copyrights of your book to a publisher. If you do that, do just for the first edition or for a specific edition and for a specific language. Because if you donate the whole book for a publisher and you want to review it, you want to translate it, or you want to publish in another context, you are stuck with that publisher. You cannot remove this and put this in another publisher because of the contract. So this is not me that is talking to you. This is about Vieira's experience. He wrote books when he was in the Spiritism in Brazil, and he donated the whole book for the Spirit Federation, and he was not able to republish it anymore because this book now belongs to the Federation. Okay, so don't do the same mistake. Just donate your book for one specific edition and one specific language. Okay? Remember, you are the sovereign. You don't need to be stuck or in a pressure with your publisher.
And
So
on
if
your previous point, we would go and have another discussion, because these days there are so many editors in our publishing house that sometimes I wonder, but is this going to be, the author's book, or, a number of people that want to interfere? And yes, of course, the intention is good and is trying to help, but there's too much interference, in my opinion, in certain aspects.
yeah, that's why, for example, you are in an international environment here. So sometimes it's very hard. You rely on one publisher in Brazil. So people in Germany, they want to publish in a specific publisher in Germany, and they need to have like independency and flexibility to do what is more appropriate, quicker, and more, for the context they are, for example, right? Or here in Australia or whatever. So let's think about that. And you have much more authors, which much more brands of conscientiology. This is science. Science goes to everywhere. Imagine if all books of psychology would be published by just a few publishers, guided by very limited politics in terms of publishing. This is going to cut the wings of the development of a science. It's impossible to control that, and this is
And now you will have like soon over 200 different writers of conscientiology.
yeah.
So, and that what you're saying is very relevant. We cannot cut the wings of people because some people just think like that, cannot do that.
And the last one is a question, final question. So ask yourself, do I have a biblioproexis? Think about that. Or are the books part of my proex, or the main part, or a core part of my proexis? So do I have a biblioproex, which means your proex is absolutely linked to publishing books, or this is something else? This is you don't know. Each case, each proex has very specific codes, guidelines. So think about that. How books are, or in what extent the books are part or not of your proexis. And then you can measure the priorities, the change in your lives, the routines, the momentums, everything that we discussed previously. I'm so sorry about the time. We went like 7 minutes ahead, further. Yeah, that's my, I promise I finish now.
It's okay. We also started a bit later, so that's okay.
We are also sorry about the time, but we are sorry that we don't have more time, because it is and it is an important topic for all of us. And for me at least, was a good opportunity to recycle and to think at my, let's say, addiction to the metaphoric language. I still love the metaphoric language, and probably it's high time to give up. And thank you again very much. It was great, and hope to see you soon with and continue today's debate. And we are also waiting for all of you next week for our photo lecture, right? And thank you very much to all of you.
As for the bridge writers, this is the last session in this year, right? We will return next year with different presentations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Please
All the
come in
best.
December 3rd.
Tony.
Come in December
Thank you very
3rd. We
much.
promise it's going to be fine.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye, Tony.
Bye.
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 Goodbye.
Hello.
Bye.
Bye.